This discussion is something I've been holding off on because I'm not sure how I feel about it. I know where I'm leaning, but with all the information available, it's really difficult to discern exactly how this makes sense or why it would make sense. But we're just going to go through a few things and just throw some things out to you guys because I think that's a good, sometimes a good way to go about things, to get some opinions from you guys, see how you feel about it, because this is a huge talking point in the recent chapter 982 about Marco and the note and Wano and Oden and Whitebeard and Ace. It's a lot going on there, but we're going to talk about it today and just try to figure out exactly what was the purpose of it all. I guess, where do we start? Let's start with Oden. Oden, as we know, was on Whitebeard's ship and Roger's ship. Started on Whitebeard's, they met, had a quick squabble, and Roger asked Whitebeard if Oden could join his crew. Oden then lobbied to join Roger's crew because he was interested in the world, or more so the secrets of the world. So then he joined Roger. He left Roger, went back to Wano, we know he died. The rest is history. One of the major talking points after Oden died, and knowing where we are now in the story, and basically because Kaido had occupied Wano for so long, a lot of people wanted to know, including myself, why didn't anyone go to Wano? Literally, none of Oden's former crewmates on Roger's ship or Whitebeard's ship went to Wano. There's no indication of that. And the crazy part about that is that those crews are compiled of the strongest pirates that we know of, or some of the strongest pirates that we know of, and not one decided to go check on Oden. There is some history we can pull from based on crews after they separate and if they interact, and that goes back to Rayleigh, where for Rayleigh, after the Roger crew disbanded, he hasn't interacted with any of his crew members. The only person was Shanks, but Shanks moves around a lot. That's a bit different thing. He ran into Rayleigh. But if we go even further back, we know crew members, they really don't communicate. And that's been an issue for the Straw Hats in general, where after they went on a time skip, we didn't see a lot of dialogue based on what they experienced. And I think that's a major issue because for character agency and trying to incorporate logic with everything with these characters is difficult when you try to tell the audience or convince the audience that no one communicates, because essentially that's what the story is doing. The story is telling us everyone is on a need to know basis. You know when you need to know. With Robin and Sabo, Zoro and his eye, Luffy and Haki, I think is so much information that we felt like should be shared within the crew that doesn't get shared. We can go back even further to Roger and Garp, where for Roger, the person he chose to tell about Ace was Garp. Of course, Garp probably had the resources to protect Ace. That's why he chose Garp, but he said that's one of his best friends and that's the reason why he chose him. And through their battles, they forged a relationship. He didn't tell Rayleigh about his kid, right? So Rayleigh, up to the point in Marineford, I'm sure he knows now, but I don't think he knew about Ace, right? I mean, of course you have a feeling. It's like, who is this kid? He reminds me a lot of Roger, but there's no way Rayleigh would know that Ace is Roger's kid, unless Shanks knew, but that wouldn't even be a conversation. I mean, it's so much lack of communication that goes on in the story is sometimes mind-boggling, but with Shanks and how much he cared about Roger, you would think protecting Ace or protecting that legacy would be important to him, but he didn't know anything about it. He thought Ace was Luffy's brother. That's what he told him. So I wonder how different would things be if it was communicated not only to Garp, but to Rayleigh and his former crew members that, hey, my kid is Ace, look out for him when you can, right? That's going off the path that I'm talking about, but that's just giving some context, or rather prefacing what I'm going to talk about with things that's happened in the story previously with crew members. They just do not communicate well, or sometimes don't communicate at all. So this takes us back to Marco, and Marco said that for the most part, he did not know what was going on with Oden. Of course, that entire statement is a bit confusing because Marco literally says, look, I love Oden, but word from Wano doesn't travel out of the country. I never thought things had gotten this bad. That's a weird statement because saying, look, I love Oden, it's almost implying that he knew about it or he knew things were bad in Wano, but because news doesn't travel out of the country of Wano, he didn't know as much about what was going on. Where I don't necessarily read it that way because I think Marco did not know about Oden's death, but for me the thinking is, when was that communicated? Did Nekomamushi tell him while they were having that conversation on that island with Marco? And then if we take it a bit further, outside of Whitebeard not going to Wano at all for the past 2 decades, right? Nobody, none of the crew members ever crossed Wano. It says something about the Yonko and their communication network or their information network when Whitebeard did not know anything about Wano. No information at all left Wano for Whitebeard to know what was going on. Whitebeard did not know the territory that Kaido operated. You would think the Yonko would understand the territories that the other Yonko would govern. So therefore you kind of keep your men away and stay out of their territory to not cause any unnecessary conflict. But I guess that's not the case. I guess you just go to wherever you go to, and if it's Yonko's territory, then it is what it is. We do not know the territories occupied by the Yonko or governed by the Yonko at all. I mean, Shanks absolutely did, because Shanks got word that Kaido had left Wano and he was on the way to intercept Whitebeard or on the way to Marineford. So Shanks has knowledge. Shanks is abreast of a lot of things. It seems everyone else is, other than Whitebeard's crew. Big Mom, she has an information network that we know of. Blackbeard seemingly knows everything that's going on. Kaido also always knew what was going on, but for him, he has someone like Doflamingo on his side. So for Dofi funneling information to Kaido, that would be no issue because Dofi also has the resources of the world government, who also had information about what was going on in Wano, but they did not know enough. That's one thing Akainu said literally, that we don't know enough about the samurai and what's going on in there, so we have to wait and see. So another thing is that Izo, her brother or his sister, is in Wano. You didn't think to visit your family member? Even after the Whitebeard Pirates disbanded, you had no idea or no actual reason to go to Wano at all. We know Izo is here now, but Jesus, like there was never an inclination to go to Wano to figure out exactly what was going on. That's where the issue comes in for me personally, is that knowing all of that, I suppose it's coming to terms with the fact that no crew member, former or current, from Whitebeard or Roger found it necessary to visit Oden at all or find out information about Oden. You hadn't heard anything from Oden in decades. You did not once think about him, especially with Whitebeard, because Oden was the only person that Whitebeard kind of classified as a brother. Every other person on the crew was classified as a son. So for Whitebeard, visiting your brother was never a priority. Another thing is Ace. Speculation about Ace going to Wano, was it before or after you joined Whitebeard's crew? Definitely before. The anime definitely supports this because when we saw Ace in Wano with Tama, he didn't have the Whitebeard tattoo on his back. So more than likely, Ace went to Wano before he was on Whitebeard's crew. And I believe Ace's crew was in Wano as well. So that goes to show Ace was not a member of the Whitebeard Pirates then. Ace joins Whitebeard's crew. Ace then becomes the second commander of Whitebeard's crew. At no point does that conversation come up as far as like, hey, who is the guy that was the former second commander of this crew? That didn't come up at all. That's a position you're taking and that doesn't cross your mind at all. It's really a lot to think about, because if you asked about, hey, who's the former second commander? Well, it was Oden. Oden is a guy who's from Wano. He's probably there now. Oh, well, I went to Wano. Wano's still a pretty bad place. And of course, Ace did not venture all over Wano, but I think that would pique the interest of the Whitebeard Pirates to say, hey, you know what? Let's go check on Oden. And that goes back to an inclination that they're respecting Oden's wishes, especially the Roger Pirates, as far as him wanting to take care of the Wano thing by himself. For the Whitebeard Pirates, there's definitely more incentive to go, especially Izo, but nothing. That's the reasoning. Nobody knew anything that was going on with Oden. And I want to clarify, this definitely makes sense. Wano is closed off. There's not a lot of information that goes in and out of that place. But as a reader and a fan, you can't help but speculate or to delve a bit deeper and think about the numerous possibilities and ways in which information about Oden could have been found out, especially from a Yonko, as a Yonko. I guess the next part of this is Marco and the note. The dialogue in chapter 909 between Nekomamushi and Marco heavily implies that Marco will not leave or cannot leave that island because he's protecting it. Nekomamushi even said, well, I understand why you would not want to leave. Marco then mentions Wano, and then he says he wants to send a message to Luffy. Based on the message, why the hell was Wano important? And also based on the message, how did you know you would be late? Because the main thing that Marco is saying is that Weevil and his caution of Weevil is the reason why he can't go to Wano right now with Luffy. How did you know you would be late? The only thing I can think of, and maybe this gets explained later in Wano, is that Marco had a plan for Weevil. Either that, or he would have the remnants or someone else to come and watch the town while he went and fought with Luffy. If that isn't the case, it's like Marco knew what was going to happen in regards to the abolishment of the Shichibukai system, and then that would lead to Weevil being chased by the Marines. But even that doesn't really logically make sense, because even if Weevil is being chased by the Marines, he could still get to where Marco is. And then there are even screenshots going around saying that Weevil, where he was, and there are screenshots going around comparing where Weevil was to where Marco was, and people are saying Weevil was in the same place where Marco is. So again, this is not saying this entire interaction was bad. Everything that's going on with Marco, the note, none of this is bad. It's just trying to make sense of it, trying to find the logic behind all of these decisions and actions. And also with the note, if you're just telling Luffy that you might be late, but you'll be there, why the hell did you need a note? Nekomamushi couldn't remember that? Hey, I'm going to be late. Huh? I don't understand why a note was needed. Some of it feels like a bit preconceived and just, it's almost as if Oda was trying to hide the fact that Marco was definitely coming to Wano. This whole rigmarole to say, hey, Marco has to stay and protect this country, so he probably won't be there, to have a surprise chapter in which Marco shows up and everyone's like, oh, Marco said he wasn't coming, or he implied he wasn't coming. I can't believe he's here. Because even after Marco said all that, everyone was still saying, okay, that's fine, but you still need to come to Wano. Like, Marco's still coming to Wano. It's all strange. Not bad, but definitely strange. But guys, give me your thoughts. What do you think about all this? Is all of this justified? Is the community overreacting? Because this is a huge talking point right now in regards to what's going on with Marco and the use of the note and Oden. It's all coming back up. But guys, let me know, was this justified? Yes, I agree, it makes sense. But how do you feel about it? Some people were saying that we're overreacting in the community. I think some people are, because initially when I reacted to it, I was like, what the hell is going on? But then thinking about the world government and just how many restrictions Kaido has on Wano in general, it makes sense for information not to get in and out of there, but for his former crewmates, oh man, like like nothing, especially for someone like Izo, who was shown to be super loyal to Oden. Izo was loyal to the point where he jumped on the ship with Oden. But yeah, guys, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.